Let's get out of this guy's way. Go explore. I think I'll save the repairs until I'm done exploring because there's a lot of people here. Don't really like our sun visor. Won't be able to see that green light if I was right under it. Oh, that's a cool truck. Glad those guys are going slow. That could have been ugly. I was a little bit nervous. Hi. There's a wreck back there. That white car ran right into the back of that semi that was getting a little bit close to us. Been there. At least he was going slow enough he caught it. These cars right here making me nervous too. Yep. Sounds like his engine might be messed up. Looks like 2 more spots we need. Alright, double check. I think we still need this and that, so it's 1, 2, 3 spots. So I'll come down here, I'll grab this, and then we'll teleport over here and find us a trailer. And get out of this crazy mess. Alright, F7? Nope, not F7. F6? No? Oh, yeah, F7. And grab our repairs. Oops. I didn't grab a repair. I know what I did. Wasn't on top of the icon, I think. There we go. There we go. Yeah, almost 1,000. Alright, want... Yeah, I'm not even gonna get upgrades here. That'd be crazy. Wow, we almost hit the 30%. I think we got time for one more. That one sounds new. Yep. Kind of a long drive, but I think we got time. How much we get? 18,000? Man, I'd rather be doing that though. Let me look at the map. Yeah, I think we'll go ahead and go back to, what was it, Berlin, I think. So that is a nice chunk of money. Not sure which lane is. I don't know if he wants in the right lane or the left lane. Looks like they are a convoy. This is the one area red lights really are kind of annoying. Okay, I'm pretty sure he wants in the left lane, so proceeding with caution. Alright, so I need to turn right and left. This should be an easy spot to get out of. Knock on wood. Alright, I'm gonna take a quick break and then we'll... Alrighty, I'm back. Let's get rolling. Oh, hold up. Waypoints. He's a learner. Let's see if we can go up here. And here. Now let's clean it up. What about here? Nope. There. And there. Okay, now I just want to backtrack and make sure that I'm getting everything. Trying to decide if I want to knock that out. If I do, I want to get it all. I don't want to just... It won't take that long. Trying to figure out how to set up this waypoint. And hopefully I remember to get that. What town is that? Hamburg. No. Yeah, Hamburg. Alright, so I need to make sure to get Hamburg. Alright, looks good. Let's do her. Yeah, if we can get out of here without getting a wreck, I think we did good. Considering how many people there are here. I'd say at least 20. So back to games. What to talk about them? Questing. It's one of those things that some games do extremely well, and some games are just really bad. I really did enjoy the questing in Star Wars. The first couple of times you go through it, you get to make different choices and stuff. What I didn't like though is some of the choices that you make really didn't feel an impact on the outcome. I'm trying to think of a certain circumstance off the top of my head. There would be opportunities where you could say, you could walk up to the quest giver and you could say, you could pretty much lie and say, yeah, so and so stole something, and they would arrest or kill the person, or ask you how you want to handle the situation. Or you could tell the truth and they would say, here you go, good job, we'll recommend that these people get a raise or whatever. I think that they did a good job there. But then there would be other times where I could be somewhat of the exact same scenario and say, yeah, that person did a terrible job, and they would just be like, yeah, I agree. Or, hey, yeah, that person did an excellent job. Yeah, okay, I agree. I feel like they didn't spend enough time working on that. There is quite a bit of replayability since there are multiple options. There'll be like 2 or 3 options on most scenarios. There's a little bit of replayability there, and then of course you have various classes. But once you've gone through the game, let's see, I guess it'd be, is it 4 classes and two sometimes 3 choices that would have a pretty good impact. So once you've gone through that game about 8 or 9 times, you're kind of done with it. Some of the other types of questing would be having to read text, and I'm okay with that as long as they, oh boy, and it's still kind of tilping there. Tilping, is that a word? Tilting, there we go. I'm okay with quest-based text. That's awesome. Let me get around this corner first. I'm okay with text-based questing as long as they somewhat do a good job of it. Some of the quests that you run across hand you almost a book of information, and halfway through it you're like, you know what, this is garbage, and you just start clicking accept. I didn't like that. I like seeing a little bit of lore. Of course, over time I want all the lore, but having to read an entire page of something that's not even funny, to me, wasn't interesting. It didn't hold me. So yeah, a little bit of lore, you know. I don't even know where to begin on that. You know, a couple of sentences of lore. Don't fill out a whole book. And on quests, you know, that would be for quests that lead up to, say, a raid or a dungeon or something. You know, I want that lore, but don't flood me with it. And outside of the quests that don't matter much, you know, obviously you're gonna have to go and kill 10 wolves or pigs or whatever. Throw in a little bit of humor there. Don't just be like, go and kill 20 wolves because they're overrunning our fields, you know. Do something funny. And I say that as I'm having a hard time trying to think of something funny. Yeah, but anyway, throw something humorous in there to where I actually want to stop and read 4 or 5 sentences. put a little bit of effort in there. If you intend for me to actually read that stuff, make it interesting. Because there's nothing worse than, and I've done it in several games, I start to read something and I'm like, this is garbage, where did they get this? And so I totally get turned off by the questing scenario and just start doing accept, go out and kill, come back, click to get my reward, and keep on going. At that point I don't even care about the game, I don't care about the lore or anything. Maybe give some clues in the raid. If you read the quest, maybe there'll be some clues in the raids. Say like you're going out to fight a big fire boss. Okay, so maybe the first quest will be like some big huge fiery dude, whatever his name is, just came and grabbed our stuff and we need it back. And you'll accept the quest. How am I doing on gas? Oh, we're full. So you'll accept the quest, do whatever he wants you to do, maybe go out, kill 10 wolves or something, come back. And then they'll give you a little bit more information about the fiery golem that attacked. They'll say that, yeah, he has a huge AoE he does whenever he lifts up his front foot, watch out for that or something, you know. And then a couple of quests later, they'll say something like, watch out when he turns around, he does something, you know. Just small little clues here and there. You kind of want it to be a surprise, but then you want to be like, you want to be in there in that raid and you see that foot coming up. Oh yeah, I remember I read that in that quest, when he does this, I need to do this. And maybe you, oh boy, I don't know if you saw the trailer on that, I could feel the truck going over. You know, maybe you do have to wipe her a time or two and then be like, oh yeah, I remember reading that in that quest. I don't necessarily want them to hand it to you, but you know, give you something to go on. And they don't have to say everything that's gonna happen in that scenario. I'm just trying to toss out a couple ideas. Because I mean, I hate to compare games to real life, but I'm going to do it anyway. In real life, if somebody ran off with, say, my jacket, I'm going to say, hey, I lost my brown jacket to this guy, and that guy also happened to be carrying a gun or a knife or whatever, you know. So that would be a good indication that he's probably going to use that in the raid. I think, yeah, general questing, I think some of that needs to be a little bit more humor in there. Something to make me actually stop and go, haha, you know. Something to tell my friends, hey, did you check out that quest over there? And games inside of games, that's something I've seen in a couple of games. And I can understand with copyright laws and all that, that's kind of hard to do. But I think they can come up with something. It doesn't have to be real fancy. I'm trying to think of something off the top of my head. Say you could have a quest that somebody beat you in a game of poker or something. So you'd actually have to go down, sit at a table, and your screen would turn over to, say, solitaire or something. Not so, well, solitaire would be a bad example. Blackjack, you know. So you'd have to beat the guy at blackjack, and don't make it hard. You want the average person to be able to do it. Of course, there's always going to be RNG in there. I've spent many hours questing in games, just reading text and stuff. Just because there'd be certain games or certain quests that I would just either laugh or get a good chunk of lore out of it, as long as they didn't overdo it. They kind of need to, in a way, make me feel like I'm actually somewhat of making an impact on the game. Of course, then I've also been in games that, like this, the simulator, there are no quests, or quests that you just kind of come across. I'm trying to think of an example. This is going to be a really bad example, but it's the only thing I can think of off the top of my head. There's a game called Firefall. It's a FPS game. You kind of do start out with a quest. They'll tell you to go and scout out some stuff and look for some NPCs. It's changed quite a bit over the past year or so, so I'm sure I'm probably off on some of that information. Matter of fact, when it first came out, there weren't any quests back in beta. And since then, they kind of came out with some quests, but like I said, they've redone it a few times, so that information I'm going to get ready to pass out probably outdated. But yeah, you would go and look for some communication devices to be able to sync up, kind of like a radio towers. So you do that, and then you go out and find some bad guys or whatever, and then eventually you kind of ran out of quests, so to speak. You would just kind of run across them in areas. They were called Ares missions. So you would go to the area, and it would just pop up as like an alert. Hey, we need to go in there and kill the spiders, or go in there and kill the. They weren't called infected. There was another term for it. Basically, they're kind of like zombies, aliens from another world. Go in there and kill them and do whatever. They were repeatable, and they weren't actually quests, but so that's something that's a whole different genre that you could get into as far as questing goes. Kind of like you walk into an area and all of a sudden it tells you need to do something without actually having to go to a quest giver and accepting quests. So it's something. I think it's something that could be looked at, but right now, the way games are implementing it, I don't really care for it. I think I'm more of the go to the quest giver and pick up the quest type of person. I say that now, there is an exception to the rule, and I think Guild Wars did a really pretty good job of it. I'm sure most people have probably played it, so I won't go over the detail, but I did like that system they came out with. The problem I have with Guild Wars is the whole combat system. As you can tell, I already have a problem doing multitasking. Another problem I have with that game was the weapon swapping. Even though there's only, say, I think 8 buttons, but then you have to roll over to another hotbar. I didn't like that. I like seeing all of my buttons on one bar. I think if I had the ability to set it up that way to where if I mashed button 1, it would perform that action, and then I could mash button 2, and it would instead of rolling over to another hotbar, it would just automatically equip the weapon. I think I might be okay with that scenario. The damage in that game I didn't care for. And the reason being is some of the telegraphs just were, maybe it's lag, I don't know, but they were just off, way off. I would get hit times where I don't feel like I should have, and other times I feel like I probably should have taken damage and didn't. I can remember a prime example. We're sitting there working on a boss, and it's a group effort. I'll give it that. There should be I'm not gonna say one-shot abilities, but abilities that will at least knock you down to the point where somebody else is gonna have to help you get you up. That I'm okay with that. But in this scenario, I'm standing right next to the person, didn't see a telegraph at all, and all of a sudden the person just falls over, and I have to help pick him up. No clue what happened. I even asked the guy, I was like, "What hit you?" He's like, "I have no idea." So that's something, like I said, I don't know if maybe it was lag, maybe I didn't see the telegraph and it was aimed at him and not me, and I just didn't see it. I don't know. I can't say that I'm really a fan of them putting telegraphs on the ground so much as I want it to be a little bit more obvious as to where that damage is going to be placed. I mean, if you see a huge giant beast and he's raising his foot, there should be some indication as to where it's going to land, but at the same time, I don't want a big red circle telling me, yeah, as long as you don't stand in this, you're okay. So make it obvious where it's going to land, but I don't like the telegraphs. Another thing that's hard to control in games is the effects, the lighting effects. Where if I was to hit a boss, you know, maybe my sword would kind of make like a light glow off of it. You get 15 or 20 people doing that on top of, say, the boss decides he's going to do an AOE or whatever. Man, some of that stuff. I've been in moments where I can't really see what's going on, and I'm just sitting there mashing buttons like, what in the world am I doing? Just like, and part of that's probably eyesight, because what's that called? Stigma. I've got a stigma in one of my eyes, so that kind of blurs some of the lighting effects. Then you've got a pretty good sized crowd that really enjoys those type of things. So I'm sure that's kind of hard to balance. I like to see it, I don't want to be in the middle of it as a melee character. I'm all over the road. As far as most played games, I won't go into the actual titles, but I'd have to say FPSs and simulators, and the reason being is FPSs I feel more competitive, way more competitive than a tab target. You know, I actually feel like I'm doing something rather than sitting there, mash a button, wait half a second or whatever. You know, I feel like there's a twitch action there. The only downside of that is lag or latency can get in the way of those type of games. That's kind of a drawback, but overall, yeah, that's where I spend a good amount of my time, and then my downtime I come back to the simulators to relax a bit, chill out. That's one thing that did draw me to Guild Wars, is it wasn't so much it didn't feel like it was tab targeted. It's kind of directional, you know. So that kind of gave me a little bit more of an FPS feeling, even though it's not. I really do enjoy their their marketing. They have a cash shop, but as far as I know, from the last time I played the game, there wasn't anything that you could get outside of spending real money that you couldn't get inside the game, and I thought that that was just awesome. I'm totally okay with having a cash shop in the game as long as you can get everything within the game through game money itself, and there's nothing in the cash shop that's overpowering. You know, the only way to get it is just through the cash shop, and you gotta spend tons of money or credits to buy it. Now, if it's slightly better than what you got, but you can get, say you can get way better in a dungeon, but yet it's slightly better than what you got, I'd be okay with that. So you go out and you run, not run dungeons, but you go out and you do some loots, and the best loot that you can come up, or kill some creatures for loot, and the best loot that you can come up with, the cash shop has something that's slightly better than that. But then you can turn around and go to a dungeon and get something that's even slightly better than that. I'm cool with that. That's cool. I'm also okay with the cash shop having vanity items, and the only way to get it is through the cash shop. That's totally understandable. Pets, mounts is kind of an issue. It really just kind of depends. Their system I also like is it's a buy to play. So you never even have to go to the cash shop. You don't have to spend money there, but the option is there, and I think that's awesome. You know, do away with all that the monthly fees. If you like the game, you're going to support it anyways. You're going to keep buying the expansions. I think they could probably even get away with raising the price of their expansions up just a little bit. Don't go crazy with it. I think they definitely deserve that. What I'm not okay with, and I have seen this in a couple of MMOs, is not only do you have to buy the game, not only do you have to pay a monthly fee, they also have a cash shop. That's taking it too far, in my opinion. I mean, you've already spent money on the game. You're spending money on the game, and then to have to turn around and spend even more money on the game to get an item that I feel like you should already be entitled to. That's... Oh, yep, not gonna make this one. Not gonna... Wow, we made that. I saw it coming. I don't know what to say there. Let's just slow down way long time ago. Is it a light out or a truck stop? Looks like a light out. Yeah, that's in my opinion, that's greedy. I think that's more of the reason I'm leaning more towards buy-to-play games, is because it seems like a lot of I'm not gonna say a lot. It seems like that's where MMOs are headed, is bringing cash shops into the game. And I'm like, well, you know what? If you're gonna bring a cash shop into the game, I'm gonna go in with the game already having cash shop in mind. I don't want to play a game and then all of a sudden a cash shop gets brought into it. A semi there, I thought it was a car pulling a trailer. I think I'll slow down. I'm in the wrong lane. This is Hamburg, so there is, and it looks like there's actually two spots here that I'm worried about. So, yep, cool with cash shops as long as it's not also a monthly fee. I just want to make sure I get this spot up here on the left. Nobody around, so I'm driving slow. Alright, sweet. Now we're going to do a big old circle and get that other spot. How are we doing on gas? 3/4 of the tank, good enough. Talking about cash shops and monthly fees, I think I would be okay with, say the game is built around a cash shop. Hang on, where's my turn? Ah, here it is. Say the game is built around a cash shop. They could also add in a small monthly fee that would give you minor perks that wouldn't change the game at all, and I'm having a hard time coming up with some. Maybe say like most games take you a second and a half or 2 seconds to get on your mount. Well, no, that would be that could be game breaking depending on what you're playing. Well, auctioning items, that's one thing. You could auction items as a normal player, or you could go to the cash shop with in-game currency or money paid and buy something that would increase your auction slot by nothing game breaking, like say you normally have 50 spots, now you would have 75, you know. Or you could pay a monthly fee and always have 75. I don't think I would do that for inventory space. Definitely not toolbars, that's a big no-no. If they did it with inventory space, it would have to be extremely minor upgrade, like say your backpack holds 10 slots, well now it holds 12, but then I don't think anybody's going to want to pay for that, so. You could get away with a quick travel, say on average you can only quick travel every 30 minutes, and buying an upgrade will let you do it every 15. You can get away with something like that as long as they don't overdo it. Just minor little perks like that, I think I'd be alright with that. Maybe be able to change the color of your weapon whenever you want. Different kind of customizable features. Yeah, let it be up to the player though, you know, do they want to spend the money through the cash shop or subscription based. Another thing I see MMOs doing is you go through questing hubs, and usually there's a quest hub that almost nobody likes to be in. Whether it's because of PvP, whether it's because of the type of quests that are there, the type of mobs that are there, the damage scale. You know, there's just a whole plethora of reasons that people don't like to be in that particular area. And when a game comes across that, they can see that nobody likes to be in that area. Then instead of trying to figure out why they don't like to be in that area and trying to redo it, they come up with reasons to force you to go into that area. Whether it be through dailies or maybe an increased drop rate, or they do totally the opposite. They make that area insignificant to where people just freely pass over it. I think the correct thing to do would be to totally, and of course I imagine that'd be hard money wise and all, time and money, so it's all about anyways, to go back in and, you know, redo it. Okay, they don't like it because the damage is too high. Well, let's try, you know, we'll take out these creatures and throw in some other creatures. Or maybe it's because of the setting, so instead of it being always nighttime there, let's just put a little daylight in there, you know. Give it a little variation, try things out. Don't just either make it to where they scale the XP so much that you can actually go around and start skipping that zone, to which made it pointless to even have that zone there in the first place, or to stick quests and stuff in there that make you have to go through that zone even though you just don't want to be there in the first place. I see a lot of that. I mean, almost every single game you go to, you're gonna find areas that nobody's there, and you know, maybe it's your first time playing the game, and that kind of in itself leaves a bad taste in your mouth. You're like, man, where's everybody at? And then you start doing the quest there, and you're like, oh, this place is terrible. There's nobody here. All of a sudden, now you've got a bad taste for that game in your mouth. We're gonna tip. Nice. I think I'll leave it at 55. You know what? Knowing me sitting here talking, we're going down to 50. There we go. Now if I wreck, I'm just a Terry bad player. I'd love to come up with examples of that, but A, that requires too much brain power, and B, excuse me, hang on. It requires too much brain power, and B, I don't want to put names out there. It's, you know, I hate doing that. I hate saying, yeah, this game's terrible. No, another thing I'm noticing too, and I'm sure everybody else has as well. A lot of the games now, they're so alike. I mean, you don't have to go anywhere and read a forum, and I think that it's pushing it to the limits. But yeah, you'll go to a forum, and this game's just like, or this game's a repeat of, or it's a copy of. I think in some scenarios they kind of push it there, but yeah, there's a lot of things in games that are just like other games. Kudos to those that actually try to venture out. And I'll go ahead and say Star Wars, just because to me, that's the first game that I can think of that. I'm not gonna say they didn't do away with the questing system, but at least they did try something different with it. So I'll give them props for that. Got a guy coming up pretty quick. I need over, I think, maybe. He's probably wondering why I'm going so slow. Well, looks like he's slowing down a little bit there too. This hill is just, it's insane. I think I need that gas station. Go ahead and fill up even though I don't need to. Yeah, I do see some games come out and attempt to try to change things. But then I'm mind boggled at the actual implementation of it. I'm like, here you came up with an awesome idea and ugh, it could have been so much better, you know? I've had that conversation with my brother several times. I'm like, look, they did this in this game, that's awesome, but it could have been so much more. I don't know if it boils down to a money issue or if they're trying a little bit too hard to be different and they missed the whole point. Missed the boat. Look at these hills. Always going uphill. Trying to think of some more things. game controls, I think that would have to be my biggest gripe. When a game comes out, I feel like the controls should be down pat. That should be one of the first things they get done. You know, you should have the map out, and then probably I would say the next scenario after you get the map out, figure out what type of controls do you want, how do you want those controls to work, and then start adding the rest of the things. I don't know how many games I've played where the controls just felt clunky, and I don't even know how to explain it. And the inability to remap them too. That I feel like that should be standard in any game now. I'm not gonna get caught this time. Oh, still came in a little fast. Looks like we made it though. I don't know how. What was that, 2 or 3 times my trailer just about rolled all the way over? Glad there was nobody around. I'd like to see more games have a day and night cycle, and it doesn't have to be a huge difference. You know, 2 or 3 hours it turns to daytime, maybe an hour at night. Enough that you can tell it, not so much that it's so dark that you can't see anything though. Add a little bit more atmosphere. Can we do it? We might. If I can swing it in there just enough, awesome. Excellent, my foot. What are we at? Oh, we got one more level to go. I forget what that is. I think that's our spoiler or whatever they're called on the top of the truck so you can get. And I think we explored all this. Take a look at that map. 31%. Shooting for 35, but I'll take it. We are getting there for sure. Quite a few though that we haven't gotten yet. Not sure how we're gonna handle that. Anyways, I'm gonna get this to processing and edited and get this up there so you guys can watch it. And until next time, this is Scully hanging out. I hope you all have a wonderful day, night, evening, wherever you're at.